In this video, we talk about why every country is printing money. For most people, money feels simple. You work, you earn, you spend, you save. But behind the scenes, something much bigger is happening. Something most people never see. Something that shapes prices, wages, houses, jobs, and even your future. Across the world, governments and central banks are creating more money than ever before. Not just a little more, but trillions. Numbers so big they barely feel real. But why? Why are they doing this? And what does it really mean for ordinary people? Let's step back. Money didn't always work like this. Long ago, money was tied to physical things: gold, silver, valuable metals. If a country wanted more money, it needed more gold. That created discipline, limits, boundaries. You couldn't just print wealth out of thin air. You had to earn it, trade for it, mine it. But over time, that system changed. Slowly, countries moved away from gold. They adopted paper money instead. Money backed not by metal, but by trust. Trust in governments, trust in institutions, trust in the financial system. At first, this seemed like progress. More flexibility, more control, more economic power. But flexibility also brought temptation. If you control the printing press, you control the money supply. And if you control the money supply, you can solve problems by creating more money. At least, that's what leaders believed. Then came major crises, economic crashes, financial meltdowns, bank failures, mass unemployment. In those moments, governments faced a choice: let everything collapse or print money to keep the system alive. They chose to print. They injected money into banks. They supported failing companies. They funded rescue programs. On the surface, it looked like heroism, stabilizing the economy, preventing chaos, protecting jobs. But every action has a consequence. When you print more money, you don't create real value. You dilute existing value. Imagine you and 10 friends each have $10. Together, that's $100 in the group. If suddenly someone prints another $100 and gives it to one person, the total money doubles. But the total wealth doesn't. There are the same goods, the same houses, the same food, the same services. So what happens? Prices rise. This is inflation. More money chasing the same things. That's why groceries cost more, why rent keeps climbing, why gas prices jump, why buying a home feels impossible. But central banks don't call it printing money. They use smarter words: quantitative easing, monetary stimulus, liquidity injection. Fancy language, same result. After the last major financial crisis, something important happened. Money printing didn't stop. It became normal. What was once an emergency tool turned into everyday policy. Governments realized something powerful. They could spend more than they collected in taxes, as long as they could borrow or print money. So budgets grew, spending increased, debt exploded. Instead of fixing problems at the root, they covered them with newly created money. But debt doesn't disappear. It accumulates, like a credit card that never gets paid off. Every year, the total national debt rises faster and faster. But here's the key part most people miss. This debt isn't just numbers on a screen. It represents future promises. Promises that future workers will pay. Future taxpayers will shoulder the burden. Your generation, your children, your grandchildren. Then came another shock, a global pandemic. Suddenly, economies shut down, businesses closed, people lost jobs overnight. Governments panicked. They printed money at a speed never seen before. Emergency checks, business bailouts, massive financial support programs. For many people, that money felt like a lifeline. Rent paid, food on the table, bills covered. But again, nothing is free. That money didn't come from nowhere. It was created digitally, added to the system. And when the world reopened, prices didn't just recover, they surged.
Cars cost more, homes cost more, everything cost more. People asked, why is life suddenly so expensive? Because trillions of new dollars were now circulating. At the same time, supply chains broke down, factories closed, shipping slowed. So more money, fewer goods. A perfect recipe for inflation. Now let's talk about why countries feel forced to print money. First, debt. Most governments are deeply in debt. They spend more than they earn every year. To keep functioning, they borrow money. But who lends to them? Banks, investors, even their own central banks. When borrowing becomes too expensive, the central bank steps in and buys government debt. In simple terms, it prints money to finance the government. Second, economic growth. Modern economies depend on constant growth, more spending, more borrowing, more investment. If growth slows, the system feels like it's failing. So instead of allowing a natural slowdown, central banks push more money into the system. Lower interest rates, more loans, more credit. People borrow, companies borrow. The economy appears healthy, but it's often artificial. Third, financial markets. Stock markets have become deeply tied to money printing. When markets fall, central banks intervene. They pump money in. Markets rise again. Investors start to expect this. They take bigger risks because they believe the system will always save them. This creates bubbles, overvalued stocks, overpriced houses, over-leveraged companies. When reality eventually hits, the crash becomes even worse. And what happens then? More money printing. A cycle. Crash, print, recover, repeat. Now think about everyday people. Wages don't rise as fast as prices. Savings lose value over time. People feel like they're falling behind. $1 today buys less than $1 yesterday. So people invest. They buy stocks, crypto, real estate. Not because they want to get rich, but because they're afraid of losing value. Money printing changes behavior. It pushes people toward risk. It rewards asset owners. It hurts savers. If you own a house, you benefit. If you're trying to buy one, you struggle. If you own stocks, you benefit. If you live paycheck to paycheck, you suffer. This is why wealth inequality keeps growing. The system doesn't affect everyone equally. Now let's talk about trust. Money only works if people believe in it. If people lose faith in their currency, the system can collapse. Throughout history, countries that printed too much money faced disaster. Hyperinflation, empty store shelves, worthless banknotes, people carrying wheelbarrows of cash just to buy bread. That's the extreme version of money printing gone wrong. Today's system isn't there yet, but warning signs are visible. Rising inflation, rising debt, rising instability. Some people argue we can print forever. Others warn there will be a breaking point. No one knows exactly when or how, but the risks are real. Now consider this. If every country is printing money, then no single country feels alone. It becomes a global race. If one prints, others must print too. Otherwise, their currency becomes too strong. Exports suffer. Economies weaken. So printing becomes a global strategy. Not just a choice, but a necessity. This is why you see similar patterns everywhere. Rising prices, rising debt, loose monetary policy. It's not random, it's systemic. Now think about your own life, your savings, your job, your future. The value of your money depends on decisions made far above you, in central banks, in government offices, in financial institutions. You don't vote on money printing, but you live with its consequences. That's why understanding this matters. It's not just economics, it's power, control, and fairness. Some people propose solutions: return to gold, limit money printing, reduce government debt. Others suggest new systems, digital currencies, decentralized money, alternative financial structures.
If you like this video,
Subscribe my channel for more interesting and informative videos. Thanks for watching.